everyone, it's Reagan and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be doing a really fun recommendation video. It's a seasonal recommendation video, which is always one of my favorite to film. I can't believe we're like this close to Thanksgiving and this close to Christmas, but I do have a winter reading recommendation video for you guys today. These books to me just really exude the winter time feeling, so like a book that just feels great to curl up with by a fire, or if you grew up in Texas like me, by the air conditioner, but often are just full of a lot of adventure, atmosphere, and just something that really captures and holds your attention because the holidays can also be a really hectic time. But without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right in. The first book I'm going to talk about to me is just the perfect fantasy adventure novel that will just like sweep you away, feel like so like swashbuckling and fun, and just really the perfect book to capture your attention and kind of transport you to a whole new world. And that is The Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch. This was a recent reread for me. I read it a few months ago and honestly I could not put it down. It 100% captured my attention, my heart. I just loved it so much. It was just pure entertainment and pure like ridiculousness at the same time. This is a book that follows our main character, Locke Lamora, but it's him as an adult, and we follow him with a group of individuals that are kind of like the ultimate thieves. They're tricking people out of a lot of money constantly, but we also follow Locke as he's growing up kind of in the underbelly of this world. It's kind of as like a Venetian style high fantasy setting, which also makes it really intriguing. It's kind of like dark and mysterious. There's lots of canals, there's lots of merchants, you know, some really great historical ambiance pumped into this novel as well. This book is full of hijinks, mayhem, but amazing trickery, which I feel like it's its true strength. I have no idea what Locke is planning. I have no idea what they're trying to pull off, how they'll get out of whatever mess they get themselves into. Also, the characters are lovable and endearing. It's just such a great time and you'll fly through it. It's just an amazing travel book. You just gotta read it. The next book I am gonna chat about is The Perfect Winter Ambiance book. One of my favorite trilogies that has been released. It's all completely done. The perfect series to marathon in the wintertime, in my opinion. And that is the Bear and the Nightingale series. This is a book that has the most winter atmosphere I have ever encountered in my entire life. I will recommend this book every winter for the rest of my existence because it is just so perfect for the season. But this is a fantasy novel set in the wilderness of Russia. I want to say it's about 14th or 15th century. We follow a young girl who's growing up in her father's like compound in, again, the wilderness of Russia. It's very cold, it's a desolate location, and this is a time that's particularly interesting because it's the rise of Orthodox Christianity, which we see our main character and a lot of individuals in this town practice, but it's also combined with a lot of traditional, more folk type of religious practices as well. However, when Vasya, our main character's father, gets remarried, his new wife is incredibly religious and she vows to kind of get rid of any folklore related religious elements to this town, and because of that it kind of puts everyone in danger. And it's up to Vasya to kind of save the day and kind of seize her magic and her connection with nature and all these different kind of creatures that live around her. Again, this is a series that is superb. We watch Vasya in the first novel, a young girl kind of grow into her power, and through the rest of her series kind of seize her power and become like the most amazing woman you'll ever see in a fictional series. It's lovely. Combined with some of the most chilling, cold you'll also ever read. I felt freezing while reading this. I mean, the first chapter is literally called Frost. So again, if you're looking for something atmospheric, this is the way to go. It's dark, it's amazing. I think it has super unique family dynamics and like lots of interesting dialogue because it's set in a historical setting and it stays very true to the kind of like societal norms of the setting while injecting a lot of magic and other elements to it as well, which just makes it truly such a rich book. So read this. The next book I'm going to talk about is me kind of cheating because I technically have not finished it, but I've gotten quite a bit of the way through, and I feel pretty strongly that this is a perfect book to pick up during the winter season because that's exactly what I'm doing, and that is Jonathon Strange and Miss Norrel. This is a like 18th century style British like parlor drama, like think Jane Austen, but then with like magic. It's like Downton Abbey magic. So there's a bunch of people talking and insulting each other, but then sometimes also magic. And there's mystery and there's intrigue, but it has like kind of like heavy, dense dialogue, but like in a great way. And then, I don't know, characters that become really endearing. And when you start to begin to see things tied together and see like the larger story start to unfold, you get really attached to this. And because of kind of the dark, dreariness that this book kind of has. I feel like it provides a really great atmosphere for the winter season. It's a dense book, but hey, you got a lot of time indoors in the winter months, so I feel like this is a great one to tackle. It has ambiance, it has characters, it has, as I said before, magic. So it's a good one to pick up. Next recommendation is kind of a faster paced, but still a really strong political driven YA fantasy recommendation, and that is Fireborne. This is a debut that really caught my attention when I read it a few months ago, and I think it would be really perfect for the winter months as well. This is a story that basically is set in a world that's had this sort of revolution. It's a story that's inspired by Plato's Republic, but you can also, in my opinion, see a lot of like the Russian Revolution in this as well. It's basically a society that was once ruled by a really strong aristocratic class full of, wealth, power. There was kind of a rebellion, kind of raised the status of some lower class individuals, and this kind of restructuring of society based on merit. You basically take a test, and depending on your skills, they organize you within society. But things like education and access has been kind of given to all in this world. That being said, it does not mean the political landscape is perfect. In fact, I think what this book does a really great job at is creating rock and hard place scenarios. It's not saying like, hey, this new world is amazing, and hey, the old world was 100% bad. It's like, there's a lot of flaws in a lot of different political structures, and this book is kind of here to kind of chat through them. Another important part of this world is that there are individuals called the Fireborne, which are people who ride dragons, and it's a really exclusive and powerful part of the military. Previously, only aristocrats could be a part of it, but now it's been opened up to the general public. We follow two main characters that have been selected to be part of this training. One is an aristocrat in hiding. His family was part of the old regime, and the other, her family was killed by our other main character's family. So complicated. We follow these main characters as they go through their Fireborne training and ultimately have to face a huge outside threat. I think this book really excels in one, exploring the complicated nuances of the political system, two, allowing its characters to face and find empathy in their emotions, with others around them. This is a world where everyone has been touched by violence, and you really get that feeling, and I really do appreciate that the author lets characters work through those emotions. I don't know, I found this first book to be really intriguing, really strong, and a really lovely book. Next book I have to recommend is one if you're looking for something fast and fun and entertaining, and that is Serpent and Dove, because this has a super addicting hate to love romance at its center. So if that is what you're looking for, pick this up. It does not have the strongest like fantasy setting, but it has a very strong romantic plot setting. So again, if that's what you're looking for, this is a strong book in that category. This is a fantasy world where there are witches and witch hunters. The witch hunters hate the witches. They think they're like diabolical and kind of like a stain against the earth. Obviously the witches hate witch hunters because, they're being killed. So in this book, we follow two main characters from these two opposing forces, and they're forced to get married through a complicated set of circumstances. So there begins our hate to love situation. It's hilarious. There's amazing dialogue, great tension. I will say the world is not like properly built out enough, like not fleshed out enough, but again, the romance makes it so entertaining and a book you will fly through. If you're looking for something that you just want to sit down and be a super easy read, possibly a great plain read, this is definitely the one for that. I was thoroughly entertained the entire way through the series, and it kind of has like a French setting, which also I think provides some interesting ambiance. But yeah, this is the perfect like fast read recommendation for the winter. And the very last book I'm going to talk about is Merciful Crow. This is another darker YA fantasy option that I honestly was really blown away with. This is a fantasy world that has a complex structure in that individuals are organized into different castes and named after different birds. So if you're the ruling class, you're part of the Phoenix group. If you're a scholar, for example, you're part of the Owl group. And we follow our main character who's a part of the most lowly caste, and that is the Crows. And they're considered the worst caste because in this world, there's kind of like a bubonic plague kind of thing called the Sinner's Plague, and it's very deadly. And the Crow caste is kind of responsible for retrieving the dead bodies to prevent the spread of this plague, and the reason why they're able to do this is because they are immune to it, and this is because it is thought that they have sinned in their past life, and their penance is to now collect the dead in their current life. Different castes also have different types of magic, which is really interestingly explored in this as well. The Crows use teeth, which was really dark, but honestly very fitting. Our main character, the plot of this book basically centers around a main character who is a crow who's going on a run to, pick up dead bodies, picks up some dead bodies, and they turn out to be a runaway prince who's trying to escape assassination from his stepmother. And so now she finds herself at the center of this political pole, and she's trying to do her best to make sure that her people, the Crows, are kind of heard within this story and they're not kind of forgotten if there's an overthrow of the regime. It's a really interesting book, has great magic and great ambiance. It's super dark, and for that reason I think that makes it a great winter read. But yeah, not too long, has a complex, rich political system. It's a great one to check out. Alrighty guys, those are my winter reading recommendations. Let me know down below some books you think are perfect for the winter months, as I would love to know, and I'll see you guys soon with another video soon. Goodbye!